Hey there, LJ back here, live with you. I'd always love to get comments and questions if you have them. But I do come here often with plenty of inspiration and often something fresh and new that I want to share from my experience, from my realizing, from my connecting practices and lifestyle. And yeah, it's always coming fresh and straight from what I'm learning and realizing, and that's what I love. That when I get inspired to come make a video, it's because it's something that often does feel like fresh and new and important, even if it's an ancient idea, right? And maybe even if it's something that, in a sense, has been somewhere in my awareness for years, it's coming about in a new way. So this piece, this understanding, I'm loving, realizing, and even how, if we want to feel like we're talking about yoga, how this is such a yogi concept and actually principle and even maybe reason why a lot of these practices, much less perspectives in the psychology, were invented or passed down or realized, right? So it's this idea that creativity, as I don't know about you, but I feel like for as long as I can remember, I've felt excited about that word creativity, and that I kind of knew I liked the idea of it. And I liked the idea of being creative and feeling creative and just kind of, tapping into that. You think of it more though still as like an artistic thing, right? And even maybe a material thing. But part of what I've started to realize is when we're talking about creativity, we're talking about what we're creating in our lives, like right now, too. And what we're creating in our health, right? What we're creating in our relationships, what we're creating in our households, what we're creating in our heads, in our relationships with ourselves. There's so much creating going on, it turns out, through, I'm going to broadcast, that creativity is not just about like arts and crafts or art, that actually we are always creating in so many ways, like in every moment and in everything. So that's really, like, to me, just feels fresh to realize that when we're talking about creativity, we're not just talking about being artistic. We're talking about what are we creating in our lives in every way right now, right? Or even co-creating, if we like the idea of feeling like we have like spiritual support or guidance, or even that a lot of it is co-creating with other humans, right? So there's a lot of creating going on. And yeah, that when we start to realize that as yogis, even, we start to look at things like how we're focusing, where we're putting our attention, how much it's all energy, and that whatever we put our attention and our focus on is going to be part of what we're creating, right? And then how we're putting that attention and energy and focus is going to shape what we're creating, right? In any level, in any way, whether it's just like how we're feeling or something we actually feel like we're making, or in our relationships, in our communities, in our learning lives, right? So that's exciting and powerful to realize that we're always creating, and that creativity is like what we're here doing as humans. We're just here being creative, right? Always creating. And so we can start to realize how much we have a power in that, and how we can shape that and influence that and improve that, right? And enhance that. But then another piece that I've really realized that goes with this is when we look at how our alignment practices, the things that we're doing to create the sense of union, right? Which is really what yoga is. So when we're doing the things that we realize bring us that feeling of yoga, that create a state of yoga, that are yoga for us, whether it's on the mat or not. Whether it's something that feels like an exercise or something that's more about like what happens when you're in your journal or in nature or listening to music or playing music or various ways that you know that you get to reconnect with yourself and reconnect in various ways. Somehow that's going to really shape your creativity and boost your creativity and enhance your creativity. First of all, it's going to give you a chance to even just take a look more and drop in with yourself to see how you are doing. Like, what are you currently creating and how you're feeling, how you're thinking, how you're looking at life, and how your life is going. So part of those practices are going to give you just a chance to get a little more in touch with how you actually are liking what you're creating in your life, right? And then it gives you a chance to realize more what you do want, right? Through maybe these practices that give you a chance to listen more within, to quiet, to even shift your energy so that you can let stuff go that maybe you're holding on to that's part of why you're creating that, something that you don't like in whatever way. So it's giving you those ways to shift your energy a lot. That's a big piece of it. And to help you let stuff go and keep doing that inner listening and then that realizing more, listening to your heart more and your soul more and what you do want. So you can see how that alignment helps with the creativity, right? It's going to really shape the creativity. The more that we're doing to tune into our heart and our soul and what we want, it's going to affect like what we're doing each day even, right? The more that we're doing things to do that. So that's where we can really realize that our yoga is so much about that more than a fitness routine. But, the time with our bodies, the things we get to do with our bodies are therapeutic and helpful, and they are part of what we're creating, even, right, with our health, right? So the ways that we can daily do things like that is also going to be part of what we're creating and how we feel, right, in our bodies. And that's part of our creativity too, right? And that energy medicine we get to do with ourselves with all of the practices. But a lot of it is that inner listening, that inner realizing, the inner quieting, and then even the inner redirecting towards thinking about focusing on more what you do want in a yogi way, using your power like that. But also, here's a piece that I realize is really kind of beautiful about it, especially if you're a spiritual person too, in any ways, that you can remember that your yoga practices are a lot about, for you, maybe, reconnecting with your spirituality and like your spiritual perspectives and psychology and like how you really feel about life and what you think is true. Like if you think that the universe always has your back, if you like to believe that there's this, universal support going on, for instance, or that you have this spirit team that's helping you, or your angels or your ancestors or God or Jesus or just the energy of life, if you really do like to believe that, then you can remember that part of your yoga, part of your union can and should be about helping you reconnect with that, remembering like, oh yeah, I've got that going on, right? And how much different are we creating when we're creating from that space, whether it's in our relationships, when we're remembering that God is with us and always taking care of us and everyone we love, for instance, if that's one of our beliefs. But through your connecting practices, the more that you're remembering that and reconnecting yourself with that feeling and that focus and embodying that, how much different are you going to be creating in your relationships, in the choices that you make, in how you approach your projects, in even how you're holding yourself in your body at this moment, right? So that's why the alignment practices that do that for us on all those levels are going to really change, enhance, boost, strengthen our creativity, right? In that we're always creating. So the more that we're doing to reconnect ourselves, to realign ourselves in those ways we get to do with all of our sorts of yoga, the more we're going to be creating from that alignment, right? And creating from that union and from those perspectives, from that psychology, and from the practices that get you in that. So I love to share how that is what we can see this tuning is about. That's why I like this tune you to kind of cover it all, that we can realize that when we're doing the things that we realize tune us in all these ways, tune us energetically, right? Tune us back to a focus that we've decided that we want to be in, tune our attention, tune our awareness, tune our psychology, right? Back to how we want to be thinking and feeling and functioning, and tuning us even into that infinite wisdom, into that spiritual side, into that spiritual awareness, right? And even that spiritual lifestyle, or a more intuitive lifestyle, if you like that. That the more you're doing to tune back into your intuition, and then doing that more throughout the day, you're just living more of an intuitive life, right? Which may mean more truly you, more from your heart, your soul, your truth. And even that, like the more that we're doing fitting in and finding that helps us tune back to our truth and realize what our truth is, and the more that we can be creating from that, right? Then, yeah, how much differently are we going to be creating? How much more powerfully are we going to be creating? And how much more helpful could we be with our creating, right? Especially when we realize things that we want to do to help others in the world, which I think we do tap into that more the more aligned we get in various ways. That's just one of my beliefs, right? So yeah, that's why we shouldn't put it off and only think we do yoga when we go to a class. That we can realize our yoga is our union, and anything that reconnects us and realigns us, and these are the reasons to do it. And then once you realize what does it for you, make it a point to fit it in. And I like to say that mornings are really an important time to do some of the things that tune us, because it really tunes us for the day and really shifts our day. And and then the more that we're doing to just tune back to the psychology and the perspectives that we want to be in, that's really the deep excitingness of this that I see. And then you can see when we look at creativity, we're always creating. It's like that word manifesting. We say I want to become a good manifester. It's like, well, really, we're all really good manifestors, right? We just are manifesting what we're focusing on, what we're thinking about, what we're putting our attention on. So as yogis, we can realize that, check that out, redirect that, and re-choose how we're going to use that creative force that we are, right? And then tap more into our creative force and be that more through our yoga, our union, our alignment, whatever you call it, right? So yeah, I hope that's helpful, and more of the exciting, deep, cool power of things like yoga, meditation, whatever creates that for you, that union, that alignment. Do it for you and the team. All right. Loving you guys. Namaste.